Best food for a sensitive stomach. Should I go grain free? Well, there's two different questions there, and I'm going to help you answer those two. The first one, what is the best sensitive dog food? Whenever we talk about dog food sensitivities, or my dog having a poorly tummy, or my dog having a sensitive stomach, what we are trying to say is that there's something that is recurring in your dog's gut that's causing inflammation, that's causing something not desirable to your dog, and you see your dog in pain, or you see your dog's poos, and those can be runny. So that's the thing you are telling everyone when you talk about a sensitive stomach. So the first thing we need to do is identify what are we feeding the dog and what elements from their diet could be making the problem worse or could be triggering that stomach being sensitive. So the first thing we are going to do is we are going to assess everything we give the dog, and we are going to pinpoint any inflammatory ingredients. What do I mean by inflammatory? Any rice, any wheat, any barley, any corn, any soy, any white potato, anything in excess of 20-30%, even 40-50% these days that dogs are fed with those ingredients are potentially very, very harmful for your dog and could be exacerbating their problem. Why do I say that? Well, because dogs have a hard time breaking down large amounts of refined carbohydrates. Those carbohydrates will convert into sugar, and that sugar, excess glycolysis, you can call it whatever you want. In reality, feeding your dog large amounts of those ingredients is not good for them. The second thing we're going to do is we are going to see what proteins are we feeding the dog and what is the quality of those ingredients. If I see meat meal, for example, or if I see animal fat, or if I see meat and animal derivatives in the dog's diet, in the dog's food, in the treats, for example, do I know what I'm feeding the dog? I don't know what I'm feeding the dog. So those two things will help you identify whether you are feeding the dog something inflammatory, first and foremost, and second, if we are feeding the dog something vague. Now, what should you do in terms of a diet? Well, you should put the dog on a single protein diet with highly digestible protein. What does that mean? That means that chicken, turkey, or fish tend to be highly digestible proteins. If you have a Sunday dinner with lamb, for example, lamb is hard for the body to break down, whereas chicken is a bit more digestible. And it's the same with fish. If you have salmon, for example, you won't feel as bloated. Plus, it contains good amounts of omega-3s. Now, be very, very careful, because all sorts of people will try to sell you all sorts of things with the label sensitive stomach and skin and sensitive this and sensitive that. Whereas in reality, what you're feeding the dog, again, is a lot of animal fats, unspecified animal fats, and again, inflammatory ingredients like rice, wheat, barley. So even though something says sensitive on the front of the packet, I would reassess and I would look at things carefully. And if you send us a message, we will be able to help. And the second thing I'm going to answer is this grain-free thing. So grain-free is very, very interesting what's happening. Dog food manufacturers will say this food is grain-free and put big grain-free signage on the front of the bag of food and make you believe that that's a better bag of food, that's something that contains grains. Nothing could be further from the truth. Guess what? Manufacturers try to be one step ahead, and nowadays they are swapping brown rice or white rice for pea starch, tapioca, or potato. So we are swapping high glycemic carbohydrates for high glycemic carbohydrate. So no, grain free is not better, is not necessarily better. Sometimes the dog could be allergic or could be sensitive to grains, but that's not always the case. So those things should hopefully help you instead of you swapping from food to food to food in order for you to identify what you're giving the dog. Put the dog on a single protein food, highly digestible protein. Grain free is not necessarily better. And if you have any questions, please let us know. Thank you.